Hi, I'm Rich Jordan from Curiosity Software, looking at test approaches and strategies. In this video, we're going to look at understanding systems under test, the systems architecture, understanding design patterns, and how to minimize your blast radius when it comes to your test scope. So, a fundamental challenge when it comes to testing, especially in large complex organizations and architectures, is understanding the scope of change. We can start to understand the scope of the change and minimize the blast radius. What do I mean by that? If we just follow an inefficient end-to-end test approach focused solely on the UI, we introduce a combinatorial explosion of possible outcomes, which we probably don't even realize and certainly don't have the time nor resources to test. Remember the problem with the large end-to-end test packs that keep on growing? So how can we face into that in our test approach? The problem with end-to-end test packs and combinatorial explosion is it creates lots of duplication and unintended complexity. For a big end-to-end environment being the obvious one, your organization will struggle with. It's inefficient and will lead to layering over time. Your test pack just gets bigger, test cycles get slower and more costly with duplicated testing. So, how can we face into the problem of combinatorial explosion in our test approach? Well, we need to look at minimizing the blast radius. There are two ways normally. The first is through good architectural and design practices in your organization. Systems should be loosely coupled, and it's usually at the interface of the systems that a design conversation can take place to understand the impact of change past that interface point. This is a great way of aligning testing to your whole development approach. If there are no changes, you might not test anything, just a sanity proving exercise. If these design practices don't exist, chances are you have some SMEs in your organization who know your systems pretty well and are frustrated at the wasted effort of running repetitive, duplicated tests when they know changes aren't impacting. Listen to them and start to minimize the blast radius this way. Usually, again, this will solidify around interfaces at first. So, what are the questions we should be able to answer when it comes to our test approach with regards to our systems under test, its interfaces, and hopefully minimizing the blast radius when it comes to testing? What are the systems under test? What other systems does it talk to or interface with? What are the technologies of those systems and how do they talk to each other? Are we talking, for example, real-time APIs? Or are we talking batch? That will affect the way that we need to approach testing. What design patterns exist and can we align to them? What are the oracles of information or models we have to tell us how our systems should work, and are they comprehensive enough? Do we know enough about our systems and the changes being made to minimize our blast radius and so minimize effort for the maximum effectiveness of our testing? A great place to start is to get an architectural diagram and draw boundaries, and then start asking questions to architects, designers, developers and testers around what kind of changes happen over those boundaries. If an architectural diagram doesn't exist, create one and then start having conversations. You'll be surprised as to how quickly you might be starting to minimize the blast radius of your test approach.